Now, let me welcome my guest to the studio. My guest this morning, Abdul Malik Kweku Bako. He's the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. He's a regular panelist on this show, and we are always proud and happy to have him on the show. Kweku, good morning and welcome to the show.
Brother. Yeah.
Great to have you. Last week you were asking if last week's show was going to be the final. Now here you have it. You have the very last one.
Thank you.
Right. And
We really need some rest.
yes, we do. And here in the studio also is Egbert Fable Jr. He's private legal practitioner and managing editor of the Ghanaian Observer newspaper. Egbert, good morning, and welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And if I'm not mistaken, that will be his very first time on Newsfile, I suspect. Well, you may only know him by his voice and face on radio and TV, but he does more than that. I'm talking about Kwame Sefa Kain. He's a host of one of the biggest morning show programs in the country, Kokroko on Peace FM. Good morning, Kwame, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Samson. Good morning.
Right, good morning. Now, I must indicate that there were other guys who were supposed to be in the studio with us. Unfortunately, we've had some excuses from them. I'm sure that some of them have good reason for their inability to be here. You know, people like Randy Abe, some guys in government, you know, were to be here, but unfortunately, we don't have any one of them. So we're going to do a three-man, you know, show. And more importantly, don't forget that you are a key part of the show today. So send us your messages. We're going to read them. And my guest might comment on some of the things that you sent. What made you proud as a Ghanaian? What did not make you so proud as a Ghanaian? What do you have to say about John Mahama in 2016? What do you have to say about Nana Akufo-Addo going into the term that he's supposed to serve? This show is brought to you by MTN. Welcome to the new world. Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. ACAP Compost Fertilizer, truly natural. White Temple Agency, luxury you can afford. Royal Lighting, walk in the light. Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. Now, I think it's good to start with Egbert on the note of the matters coming out of the transition, and particularly with the appointment. The president appointed onto SHRAJ, appointed onto the National Commission for Civic Education. And also, we have seen a letter making the rounds that he had also appointed the Auditor General, but that appears to have suffered some jolt. What is the big deal about the complaints about the appointment? The president is president until midnight, 6th of January 2017, right?
Yes, that is correct. I mean, Samson, we always tend to look at the law and say, yes, the president has the right. I don't think that anybody is saying that the president hasn't got the right to administer, you know, his duties or to undertake his duties till possibly the minute he hands over to Nana Akufo-Addo, the president-elect. But let me say that governance being what it is, we need to have human feeling. We need to have what the South Africans will call Ubuntu. You understand? The fact that you have the right to do something does not mean that at all costs you must do that particular. After all, how long has the SHRAJ position, for instance, been vacant? For a very long time. I never knew that President Mahama had so much faith in SHRAJ that he would want to, with alacrity, at the very last moment, stamp his imprimatur on SHRAJ before he leaves office. I think that it's been said, for instance, that the NCC is a position which the chairperson of the NCC's position is one that the MPP as a party has never had the privilege of appointing, you know, anyone to that position before. And that is not because of anything. I think factors such as age and all kinds of things, you know, have come, and also the timings of the party's political victories at general elections, for instance, have factored in. So you see, in all of this, people also are forgetting something. All those provisions concerning SHRAJ, NCC, Auditor General, I believe, have the usual omnibus rider that the president on the advice of the Council of State.
That's right.
Nobody is looking at the Council of State. And you see, these are some of the things that make us question the relevance of the Council of State and the political, correctness of the Council of State. If we don't see minutes of the Council of State, the Council of State does everything it does in secret. It would be nice, for instance, to see constitutional amendments that will make deliberations of the Council of State, at least some part of it, open to the public, so that we know what goes on there. I mean, why will all the men and women sitting on the Council of State with their various ages, experiences, and what have you, why would they advise the president upon invitation anyway? Now, I want to appoint Mr. A or Miss B or Mrs. B to such a role. So you just advise. What is the nature of the advice? What is the nature of the advice that they will give? I think that much as we are also, scrutinizing the president and for that matter, these appointments, we also ought to question the Council of State. What advice do they give? That in the twilight of your presidential life, you are making appointments like the way people distribute toffees to children. I mean, why? I think that President Mahama, if he wants to be remembered, for anything that he has done in this, during his tenure, I don't think that these appointments are anything that he ought to be proud of and about. It was not necessary. It was not necessary. we keep saying that. Look, we keep saying that there's a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof. Yes, people are saying, oh, but you appointed, President Mahama appointed the EC chairperson, yet Nana Addo won the election. I say yes, but that is the will of the people. But when it comes to the NCC, we all know what the NCC has been used for over a long period. Go there and check. The number of persons, if I'm not mistaken, over 50% of NCC staff are people connected to the revolution, the 31st December revolution. Cadres.
Okay, and then let me say this. Today, what I'm doing today is not to be verifying or fact-checking my guest and you who will be sending in your messages. So what I'll entreat you to do is when you type your message, read over it and be sure that the facts are right. I'm not going to verify or fact-check. That obviously doesn't mean that certain times I will not intervene, please. So let's go.
So one would have thought that the president will, in these times, be very, very, very circumspect. I don't think that the president has been circumspect at all in his conduct when it comes to, these appointments to charge NCC and even the Auditor General one. I mean, the Auditor General one, if the circumstances and the facts, very, very, very shambolic. Very shambolic.
Why?
Why would you, as an Accountant General staff who is on secondment, is it somewhere in Harare or Blantyre in Malawi, comes to town, you approach him, you give him an appointment letter. Because he's in the accounting profession, I think he spoke to other accountants and all that. You see, accounting is different from auditing, even though they interrelate. And so people go around and all kinds of noises come up. The training was going to be done on Friday. And the gentleman looks at it and says, well, I think that I'm better off, doing my work and not invite all this brouhaha, on myself. So he leaves town. And so the swearing that was supposed to have taken place yesterday hasn't come on. I believe that is the end of the road.
I was behind the scenes. I was asking you a question which I didn't even know that Chairman General had asked you same question before. Now, the letter that is making the rounds about this particular appointment of the Accountant General, Auditor General, is a letter dated the 19th of December, 2016. And signed by Julius, purportedly signed by Julius Debra, Chief of Staff, and then copied to Mr. Daniel Domelovo in Accra. It is headed, Appointment as Auditor General. His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, acting in consultation with the Council of State, in accordance with Article 70 of the 1992 Constitution, has appointed you as Auditor General with effect from the 23rd of December 2016 until the approval of the report of the Professor Buando Committee on emoluments, the salary and allowances payable and the facilities and privileges available to you shall be as indicated in the Professor Irama Ade Committee report. The provisions of Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution relating to the removal from office of a Justice of the Superior Court of Judicature shall apply to you. Please confirm by the 28th of December 2016 whether or not you accept the appointment. Accept my congratulations on your appointment. Yours sincerely, Julius Debra, Chief of Staff. Now, the question which I was talking about was the very penultimate paragraph. It says, accept by the 28th. Yes. We are not in 28th of December. So what is this claim around town that this gentleman ought to have been sworn in, yesterday and he ran out of town, suggesting that he has rejected the appointment?
Well, elasticity of that provision, that is that paragraph, penultimate paragraph, you call it, is to the extent that even though the letter is dated 19th December, he was to have confirmed by so-and-so date, 28th, as to whether or not he accepts the appointment.
Right.
So that one would have thought that the swearing would take place either on the 28th, which is the last day, or a day or 2 or 3 or whatever after the 28th. But I'm telling you on authority that the swearing in was to take place yesterday at the Flagstaff House. Bar or save the fact that the gentleman flew out of town. So that same, you see, logic is like a sword. It cuts both ways. You are saying that it has up to 28. I agree. That's what ex post facto on the face of the letter, that's what it shows. But if they had up to 20, why were they going to do the swearing in yesterday? And I'm saying this on authority. No equivocation at all.
And that it is also a fact that if Mr. Daniel Domelovo has left the country, he left because he wanted to avoid this, and that he has rejected this appointment.
That is so. That is so. Without equivocation, that is what I can tell you.
Okay. Now, Kwame, I don't know what you think about the reservations about these appointments, but I suspect that you may be asking yourself the same question I am asking myself, that the appointment, for as long as they are about independent constitutional bodies, people whose office is, cast in the Constitution, such that after you appoint them, you can do them nothing. When you appoint them and you want them to do you a favor, after the appointment, they can decide they won't do you any favor, and you can't do them anything. Now, why should we be worried about such appointments? Because they are constitutional, entities, and they are not expected to pander to anybody's whim and caprice.
Samson, for me, I think there's cause for worry. It's not as if those appointed are not qualified. It's not as if the appointing authority doesn't have the power to so appoint. But it's always about timing, the manner it's done. That's about it for me. For example, the lady who's been appointed NCC boss, Josephine Nkrumah,
right,
overqualified, or very qualified, if I should say. Sorry, Joe Whittle, from what I hear, he's qualified to be in that position, even though there have been, rumors about somebody being sidestepped for him. It's just the way a manner was done. Trad has been vacant. That position has been vacant since Loretta left. That is Loretta Lamte. It's been more than a year. Why wasn't it done then? Charlotte Osei left the NCC more than a year ago, if I'm right. Why wasn't Josephine confirmed then? Why was she left in acting position as if, was it a probation period? We don't know. And, in the evening of your regime, in the evening of your governance, in the evening of your government, then you do this. Maybe consultations should have gone on. It would have been nice if maybe the transition team was informed that these are positions that the president would like to confirm. And I don't think it would have been a big deal.
The
But
transition team is not entitled by law to be informed.
I know.
Even
but
though
as
Hannah
you're a
Tete
lawyer,
informed
there's-
us
there's
that they
the
had
spirit
agreed. Hannah
and
Tete
there's-
informed us that they had agreed that some major decisions, like this one, I
Yes.
suspect, these ones, will be in consultation with or information to the incoming administration.
It would be nice to
But they are
collaborate.
not bound by law to
No,
do
they are
so.
not bound by law. But you are the lawyer. There's the spirit and there's the letter, Abi. So there's what is written, and there's the way you should do things. The generally accepted, nice way of doing things. So it won't hurt if a little consultation or just information prior the appointments or the confirmation of these appointments. That listen, there are these positions that we are going to do, and just as a matter of just letting you know, we are not asking for your opinion, but we're just telling you that this is what we'll do. And so when it's done and it's put out in the public domain, nobody raises, the alarm, the hell, the brouhaha, the suspicions, and all of that. And as Egbert pointed out earlier, these are constitutional positions. You have said that you can appoint somebody, and when the person gets into the position, they'll do what they like
Yeah,
because they have security of tenure.
It's like appointing a judge.
Exactly. The
After
moment-
you've appointed them, forget it.
Forget it. You
They
can't
can do
influence-
whatever they want to do.
Exactly. So maybe when you look at it from that angle, then we can all say there's no point in making all this noise. These are, as Kwekubaku say, ugly noises because it won't lead to anywhere really. But sometimes let's do things with some finesse. I remember Alan Chemanting when he lost one of the primaries to Nana Akufo-Addo, and I asked him one morning, so what's next for you? Are you going to back Nanado? He says, and I quote him exactly, he says, after competition, there's cooperation. But it's as if for us in this country, our politics is so divisive that it seems to be constant competition to outwit, to outdo, to outfox all the time. And so it raises suspicions. The president probably did it with no ill will, but because of the suspicions, there would always be, hey, why is he doing this at this time? Is he trying to put this person here because of this? We don't look at things at face value anymore. We always think that there's
but don't you also think that the hue and cry informs a certain perception that's been held for a long time, that these people, even though the Constitution requires that they be independent persons, and that when they are, that's who they are, yet politicians want people who will do them favors. And that is why the NPP is not happy. If you don't expect that you would need somebody there who will do you any favors, why should you be shouting out
Let's
there?
ask the NPP this question then. Should they have come in and not appointed, say, Josephine or Joe Wuta,
Okay.
and put somebody else there? The perception would be they've planted their person there to do them favors. So it's a catch-22 situation, really. If they had come in and appointed the acting people and said, okay, we're going to confirm your positions, the perception could still be there that are these guys playing ball? Were they playing ball with them when they were in opposition?
Right.
Let's rise above the suspicions sometimes. Let's look at people for what they are and for who they are, instead of always trying to second guess.
Okay. So before I get to Keku, do I get it that as far as the two of you are concerned, we have focused on these big appointments, but we are also aware of the recruitments that are going on. For those ones, you do not have any issues with. You don't think there's any questioning morally wrong.
My question
about
will be, is it regular? Is it regular? I heard something about immigration.
Right.
So I asked a few questions of a few people who are more knowledgeable than I am. And I hear they did some work in September. I think some of them wrote exams in September.
That's right.
And I'm not too sure if they have done their medicals, which is about one of the biggest hurdles you have to cross when you're being employed in the security agencies. I don't know if they've done that, but the person didn't seem to know. If it is regular, what's the big deal? If it is not, that is what raises issues. Why such a huge number of people gaining employment into such a sensitive place like a state security agency? So sometimes let's ask questions and get answers first before we go public with pointing accusing fingers at others.
Okay.
I think so.
I think that all those appointments are, to a large extent, politically engineered. And I'm saying this, from a position of knowledge. I mean, let me do a little bit of humble brag. But I have had occasions in the last few days to, some outgoing ministers, the kinds of things they are trying to do. Ask Kwekubaku sitting here. I was with him yesterday. Look, people call
guys,
people
guys
and
are
say,
telling
do
me
this,
here
do
that,
this, do that.
that this morning's edition should be called the Coffee Mafia edition.
I was with Kwekubaku yesterday. The kinds of things we heard, very, very, very scandalizing. And look, these are ministers. You hear their voices. I'm like, holy Jesus.
Are you talking about tapes already?
Oh, well, no.
Well, you said you hear their voices.
I'm not talking about tapes, but these days all kinds of things happen. and Kwekubaku is my collaborator in those exercises. He intercepts a lot. So we've intercepted all kinds of things.
So
But see,
I
I just want to advise the outgoing government as a citizen and also President Mahama.
Are you giving credence to some of the rumors running around town about guys who are all of a sudden, shipping money?
I'm telling
and
you,
all of the
panic.
stuff outside the
People
country.
Samson, these things are rumors.
Yeah. So is he giving credence to that?
He's a rumor monger at this
Oh,
point.
me. I lived in a Champon era,
Samson,
but I wasn't
when
caught
you do
as a rumor monger.
When you do what you call it, a recollection, every time there's a change of government, lots of these things are thrown out there. Now, when the dust settles, to a large extent, you realize that some of them are not true. Some may have, grounds, solid grounds. But let's be careful. We've heard things about people shipping money out, people depositing. So the other day, somebody told me somebody has deposited $15 million. I'm like, do you know what $15 million is? It's a room full of money. So much as there may be some truths in there, let's be careful about how we glorify or amplify these things.
Well, some of the claims are that you have the security actually trailing some of these people, so they will have evidence to deal with them. So let's hope that's what's in the case.
I was going to say something to President Mahama, that, it has been said that the best exercise of power is restraint. In these last days, President Mahama should exercise his power with a lot of restraint. Bill Clinton is also on record to have said that we should act by the power of our example instead of by the example of our power.
The power of the example instead of the example of the power.
I think that this is what we expect of President Mahama in the twilight of his presidency.
The people in government are asking you a simple question. They say you are saying there's something ethically or morally wrong, but you're not saying there's something legally wrong. So you as a lawyer should be the last to be heard to say somebody is doing something untoward when legally they are not wrong.
Well,
then they ask the question. For example, there's been the issue of this notice stating that there's going to be holidays on so many days. Did you say that the state ought to have checked that responsibility? Then you are being asked again this morning. I heard on radio and TV, prime time, that a former minister, deputy minister, saying that the victims of the gas explosion, trade fair, the state or the president is moving in and acting. Are you saying by this logic that the president should have folded his arms and watched?
There's something called argumentum ad misericordia, fallacy of appeal to pity. How can you, when the president acts on a humanitarian basis for the gas victims, then you say so he shouldn't do that one too? How does that affect governance, the larger picture of governance and the acts of appointments that are being done in a certain manner that we don't like? Please, nobody should raise argumentum ad misericordiam, arguments at this point. We are a serious nation. We are talking other important matters. The gas thing, I wish that we would come to it. You see, this is a republic where when these things happen, government intervenes, of course, because we all are human beings. But I want people to instruct lawyers.
Right.
The victims' family, they should instruct lawyers.
Yeah.
Whether it is normal for me to come to your property or be walking by your property and then something should escape from your property and kill me or maim me for life. You see, so much as government will do those parts,
Right.
let
We
the
should go a step
citizenry,
further.
let the citizenry also seek justice. I mean, victims should seek justice.
Let's hear from Kwekuna. And with regards to that, I know a gentleman who's been trying to mobilize some support for the Circle disaster. And look, all those who suffered, they have a certain right, and they have a certain compensation that is due them by way of appeal to the process of law. And they likely, if they are able to put it together, they may get something rather than the peanut that was sprinkled around, giving them sachet water, giving them cans of tin and sardine and the rest. Kweku, you have already gone out to town and you say the MPP should stop the ugly noises, that you are shocked that they are making the noises about the appointment. Why should you?
Well, I hear those who are in support of the call for President Mahama to seize these appointments, singing the song of morality, prudence, common sense. That's what I hear them sing.
Right.
Interestingly, I don't hear them referring to the Constitution, the fundamental law of the land. I don't hear anybody shouting illegality or unconstitutionality. So I said, what's the big deal? Those appointments, let's take for instance the Shraj and the NCC. And I was a bit intrigued when Egbert Fable, my old friend, my Daboleka friend, proceeded in terms of the NCC to talk about the role of cadres or the presence of cadres. Did you get that drift?
Mm-hmm. He says about 50%.
But that is the political. You see, so it means that all this agitation perhaps is captured in the political.
I'm glad you
So
said
all
perhaps.
yeah, but that's the impression I got. And it's perhaps that's what is driving this whole agitation. That's not right. That's not right. And I'm not naive, so I'm not going for a moment going to say that perhaps there are no cadres in that place. But is that the reason? Is that what should inform the agitation against a presidential appointment at the top? Is that it? I'm a bit intrigued by that. And that makes it even more serious. This noise is needless. Look,
It's ugly noises, right?
well, I'm restraining myself from saying these ugly noises. But I think it's needless. If there is something unconstitutional or illegal about the appointment, let's focus on that and cure the mischief.
You know
Using
what your
the appropriate
critics
remedy.
are saying? They're saying that people continue to tell Ghanaians that the president was doing something which was constitutional, which was legal, and that has brought his downfall. They should stop singing that tune today. That what he's doing is constitutional, is legal, so it's right.
Yeah, but I disagree with them in this specific instances. Look, we are looking at a specific case. The appointment to Shraj, what is wrong with it in terms of the Constitution? What's wrong with it?
Is it the return
Thankfully, somebody is going to court, isn't it?
Yes, Philip
He's the counsel.
Patrick Boama,
Yes.
who is also MPP MP
And you-
for Kaikwe, one of them. Yeah.
And indeed, I like that. Because that's how to improve on governance in terms of the law and the Constitution. So that whatever the Supreme Court tells us will give us the basis to move forward. Otherwise, the Constitution and the legal regime that we are operating support what the president has done.
Someone says, why were you against the president's action in favor of the Muntie 3, for example?
You got it wrong. That's why I told you, look at the specific.
It was legally right.
No, yeah, but that was not the issue. Look at how they crafted the Muntie thing, the untidiness. Do you remember those who initiated the process?
Ministers.
And went about it the way they went? And there was a decision by the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, had pronounced a verdict. Yeah, the president had a right to do so. But when he did it, it attacked a decision that had been taken by the highest court of the land. Tell me, the appointment to Shraj, What does it attack? You tell me. So you see, you make specific analysis of the specific case.
Okay.
That's what you do. You don't put it in a blanket space. What does the appointment of the Shraj boss, what does it do to our governance? From the NCC perspective that my brother Egbert brought in, I'm beginning to think that, and I asked this question last Wednesday, are people suggesting that if the president-elect were to take office and he was to appoint somebody, would we be perceiving that person as pro the president-elect or his government? Is that what we would be doing?
Kwame just mentioned that. That's what we've been doing all along.
Yeah, but that is why we should terminate and truncate.
When Charles Osei was appointed,
listen, let me tell you,
it was the same thing.
You know, when Emil Short was appointed, there was hue and cry. He was perceived as being part of the NDC orbit. I'm telling you.
That's right.
If you recall, go back to the early 90s.
You're right.
What happened to Emil Short? The integrity he brought to bear on his job. Go check the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal appointments over the years. Justices who were perceived as being politically aligned. Go check their rulings and judgments. That security of tenure, which we were pointing out, if it gets in, it kicks in, they look at the law first. Their conscience and the law push them forward.
Somehow,
Akins, do you remember
Emil Short?
Akins?
Yes.
Justice Akins.
Right,
Who was
Akins.
he?
Attorney General at a point.
With the PNDC?
With the PNDC, yeah. Became a Supreme Court judge.
Yes. Check his rulings involving government of the NDC, particularly the famous one of 31st December, and where he stood. So we have to be very careful. We cannot continue, trapping this kind of appointments in that partisan mode.
Okay, so
I'm
what do you
refusing
say
to do
about
that.
this bit of it? That, look, you're going out of office, you need to do some favors. So this is part of doing the favors. The man who is also coming into office has people that he may want to field into these offices. So you are taking away what he's supposed to get.
Like Rollins said, populist nonsense must give way to popular sense. We should stop these things. Unless you have something of evidential value to back it, don't do it. If it's just going to be speculative analysis, just thinking, trying to read the mind of the appointing authority, or trying to read bias into it, but you cannot produce something of evidential value to back it, stop it.
But let Kokubako understand.
Let me tell you something.
It is not everything that you require direct evidence. There is something known as circumstantial evidence. And circumstantial evidence is used to convict sometimes when there's no direct evidence. So I'm coming.
My lawyer, he's my lawyer.
Yes, so I'm coming.
I'm happy with the education.
Except that when you are dealing with, except that what he's saying,
Yes. He's been blackmailing
except that when
me.
you are dealing with circumstantial evidence, as you know, it must lead to only one and one conclusion.
So, for example,
it's a very difficult one.
But let me just I'm not taking
Okay, sure.
We all remember the late Larry Bimi.
Right.
When he was appointed NCC chairperson the first time, there was a function, I think that very appointment, you remember when Mr. Rawlings was caught on TV to have said that when his name came up first, I didn't think initially, I thought you were not one of us.
He was a kid, huh?
Well, but yes. Mr. Rawlings, maybe in a Freudian slip, it was on TV.
Yes, so what does that mean?
So you see, there are certain fundamentals that have been laid down in our constitutional evolution. So people always feel that those positions should be people who at least, much as people should be top-level public servants or top-quality professionals, you should feed into at least the national aspirations.
No, but wait, we are not even here exactly talking of the personalities. We are looking at the principle.
The principle.
Okay? Because they are all Ghanaians anyway.
You're talking about the ideal.
Yes. It's pushing it to the ideal, rather. Because, see, in my view, there's no Ghanaian out there who doesn't have some political affiliation, even if they don't show it. They are there. We all know. But we are looking in this context, the constitution.
No, I think there are Ghanaians who don't have any political affiliation.
Oh.
Yeah, you said you think there's no Ghanaian out there who has no political affiliation.
Maybe they don't manifest.
Does sympathy mean affiliation?
Well, this is English.
Okay.
What I mean is that they will have preferences.
Preferences, yes.
And
Okay.
it
they
will
may
not be
manifest it. It will not be that passionate.
And it will
But
not be
there.
autopilot preferences,
Yes,
like
I agree.
Mesotobe
I
will
agree.
say.
You see,
Okay.
look, we are all political animals, bottom line. So there's always a certain hidden political instinct in all of us.
Okay.
some of us have come public and are passionate about it and are showing the advocacy. But others who don't. But they have what they prefer. Many of those who don't make, they vote. When they are voting, they are making a political choice.
That's right.
My view is that this noise is needless.
And this applies to the recruitment alleged
recruitment, look,
and the Auditor General
No,
one.
recruitment, let's go and check. Did they advertise? Did they do what is procedurally demanded of them over the period? And when did it start? And as Kwame is saying, there are the medicals and all those things. Are they going to go through it? When did the process start? It's key. If you determine when the process started, and it's about 3, 4, 5 months ago, and it's called meeting, and this situation, why complain?
Okay.
Okay? Why complain?
Okay.
To be honest with you, I think that we are overplaying this particular matter. My view, my position is very unpopular with supporters of the. Oh, of course, but I'm not supposed to articulate a position to please those who support the president-elect or the party that has won the election. I'm not supposed to say things to please them when I don't believe in what they are saying. And in this case, we depart ways on these particular issues.
Interesting.
Thank you, Kuku. You're still here.
But Samson,
yes.
This thing about, yes, it's in the law. It's in the law. The other day
but I'm expecting your text messages, your emails to come in because this is the final show and it is for you. Let's know what made you proud as Ghanaian 2016 and what did not make you so proud as a Ghanaian. We'll be talking about political, tagging, polarization, and of the media and the country at large, and what should be the way forward in all of that. So let's have what you have to say.
I was saying that the other day on Kwame's program, my senior vandal, IKJC, sent a very profound, text message. He said, apartheid was founded on law, the Group Areas Act, and the whatever colored people's marriage, whatever, was all founded on law, passed by the Parliament of South Africa. But the moral aspect of it wasn't right.
Oh, hold on.
So the fact, no, let me learn.
Apartheid. I heard that thing. He's one of my intellectual mentors anyway. Let me confess. I love the man and his writings. But I don't see the point about apartheid. See, this constitution, we went to a referendum for it. We adopted it. This constitution at Article 70, appointments by president. The appointments the president has made, in this case, falls under Article 70.
That's right.
The apartheid legislation did not have the consent of all the people of South Africa. We all know about that.
There was a parliament
what kind of parliament was that? No, wait.
What was parliament?
No, what parliament was that? You see, the context. I'm saying that the South African example is a misplaced one.
It's not a misplaced one.
It is a misplaced one.
It was parliament.
No, but it's a misplaced one.
But it was the parliament of the Republic of South Africa.
Majority of the people of South Africa were not part of the legal regime of that
PNDC
country.
Law 111, PNDC Law 111, Intensive Succession Law, was passed by a military government. But it is binding on us today. Is that not the case?
Because we have adopted it as part of the laws that are subsisting. Am I wrong? No, this constitution.
It's reprehensible.
No, wait. This constitution that we adopted is the fundamental law. Then it tells you about other statutes and subsidiary laws that are still part of Ghana law.
Oh, of course,
right,
Article 11.
Yes, so that's it.
Yeah, but
so the South African example I'm saying is misplaced.
What is the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference?
Because South Africa, the legislative process, how the parliament, everything was put in place, excluded the vast majority of South Africans.
But it was the parliament of the Republic of South Africa.
Yes, but it was not law in the interest of the masses. This one.
But they made laws binding on everyone.
He's made a distinction. You just disagree with it. Thank you.
Listen, Article 70 here, this constitution, we are
is misapplying the Grund norm.
How is he misapplying the Grund norm? How is he misapplying the Grund norm?
This constitution was adopted through a referendum.
The Grund norm is the father of the law.
Constitution at the time, was it also adopted
the source of the law we are using.
No, was it adopted
by the whites?
They were not South Africans?
No, but
how do you respond to this?
Who voted the clerk? Who voted the clerk? Who voted?
Thank you.
Those who were eligible to vote excluded the blacks.
And they were presidents.
Now, Kweku, how do you respond to this? Those who say that there's supposed to be a certain guide when you look at the Transition Act.
Yes.
When the Transition Act says, hand over, get your handing over notes ready, 30 clear days before December 7 for elections. Impliedly, the spirit of that provision is saying that stop doing substantive major policy decisions from that point on.
I wish it had been stated explicitly in this law, rather than
You can't state everything in law.
No.
Explicitly.
Look, going forward, perhaps we need a legislation to stop midnight appointments and major policy decisions. Otherwise, you leave it to the discretion of the politician and the remit within the Constitution. I've read it. There is nowhere there's an explicit injunction.
No, there is not.
Yes, so why are we making that
No,
noise?
but you don't always find an explicit injunction in law to warrant something being done or not done.
This transition, this act,
Yes.
it came out through the totality of our experiences with transitions.
Right.
Okay? So this experience we are going through perhaps should inform us that there is the need to re-engineer this thing.
Okay.
Perhaps there is the need to strengthen this particular act.
Some of the MPs are suggesting it, and the MPs who are suggesting it belong to the NPP, and I am wishing and hoping that they have a supermajority, that in the next 4 years they would ensure that this law is amended and then put in this law what they are seeking now, what they are expecting that this government should be doing or not doing. Let's see if they will do it.
They might not.
They may not? Okay.
That's a politician for you.
But those who are saying President Kufuor did similar things and, you know, there was no hue and cry about it. Do you agree? Is there evidence that he did similar appointments before he left office, midnight?
Well, this is, you see, Mr. Kufuor actually appointed Mr. Fofie as Chief Executive of Kokobo on 2nd January. I didn't hear much noise about this specific appointment.
Okay.
But Mr. Kufuor, when he announced the pay rise, which was a bit confusing, nobody was too sure whether it was part of the single spine or not, the 3UC protested. Mr. Safumafu, and this is to his credit, but it was very interesting, he condemned it. This is Joy FM, your story. Safumafu condemns Kufuor. He was talking, maybe the word condemn is a bit too harsh, but he was talking about the fact that Kufuor should have allowed that thing to hold on and let the new regime take over.
Right.
That's what Osafumafu was saying. But when he said so, he was speaking in his personal capacity. The transition team didn't agree with him. His own side, that's his party, did not agree with him. Kweku Agyeman said something similar like Osafumafu said. His party did not agree with him. Now, there was one thing Kufuor did, which I know some people protested, especially within the police hierarchy. He reinstated Mr. Kofi Boakye.
Right.
On the 6th of January. You know, Kofi Boakye had been on interdiction. And there had been a police committee, all those things, based on the Georgina Wood thing.
That's right.
Mr. Kufuor reinstated Kofi Boakye on the eve of his exit from office. There were people in the police hierarchy who complained. There were people within the NDC who said, oh, this should have been allowed, left alone for them to come and deal with. Eventually, of course, a committee was set up again under the Mills administration to proceed with all those things before eventually Kofi had a full reinstatement. You know? So people complained about some of these things. And let me finish by pointing out these things about rumors. And that's my fear, that if rumors or stories from the grapevine drive this process, we'll be in trouble.
You referred to Constance book.
Season for bogus informants.
Bogus informants, yeah.
Yes. See, there's a story. This is January 10th, 2009. AG's department shreds documents and destroys softwares.
2009.
Yes. Chief Kufuor's Spanish transaction documents cannot be traced. State pool vehicles are disappearing. You remember what happened?
Right.
So eventually, when people took their time and went through the process, many of those stories were lies. Many were lies.
Okay. So the transition, President-elect Nana Akufo-Addo's end should take a cue from this and see what they can make out of it. Right, so we've got some of your messages coming in, and we're going to be rolling them out shortly. So tell us, what made you proud as Ghanaian in 2016, and what did not make you so proud? Just be frank, brutally frank with it, and say it as it ought to be said. My guest will be saying some of those things in ways that you may have already enjoyed, in the manner in which they have dealt with the issues of the appointments, last-minute appointments that are coming up. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we will deal with those matters, including, of course, one other issue that I have tabled for discussion, which is the polarization, political polarization of the media and the country at large. It's interesting when Kweku mentioned Emil Short, and I remember so well how he was being bastardized by the other group at the time, that he was supposed to be some NDC or whatever kid or something, and suddenly, recently, he was still in the forefront of the corruption fight, and people saw him rather as seeking to support.
Yes. And you remember the landmark decision of '95,
right?
The probe into ministers and all those. There were people who had doubts,
right,
thinking he might end up in a cover-up and all the rest.
Right.
Integrity won the day.
Great. So the time to save and win is back with the season of giving promo at Bank of Africa. It's quite simple to participate. Just enter by depositing or opening an account with Bank of Africa, and all you need to put in is 150 Ghana cedis, build up the funds, and get rewarded at the end of every month. There are no raffles, there are no draws. What that means is that everybody gets to win fantastic prizes such as TVs, fridges, smartphones, laptops, and many more are up for grabs. This promo is on until the 31st of January 2017. I wish I'd handed this to Kwame Sefakai to do. I like the way he does it, you know. Then, at that moment when you can download and stream your favorite action movie within seconds, make that seamless video call with your friends without buffering, share awesome wedding pictures and all. Everybody loves the internet for one thing or the other. And the way to do it is to stay with 4G, MTN 4G. 4G is life. So go on, get yourself a 4G device today and experience the power of MTN's ultra-fast and stable 4G network, the first mobile 4G network in Ghana. MTN, everywhere you go. Star E Insurance, 3 quick steps for you. You can now buy, renew, and make your claims all in 3 easy steps. First, log on to starassurance.com and follow the easy steps to get your insurance online. It's that easy and that quick. Star E Insurance, possible anywhere, anytime. Star Assurance, that is your solid partner. And if you're a farmer, you're a landscaper or a gardener, and your border or headache has been poor seasonal yield or post-harvest losses, this is the time to stop it. You need to get ACAP compost fertilizer. It's an organic fertilizer made from pure organic materials such as food and farm waste, decomposed naturally into humus, very suitable for agricultural purposes. ACAP compost fertilizer is available in all leading agro-import dealers and distributors across the country. For inquiries, please contact 026 40 781. White Temple Agency, that's where you get the latest technologically advanced, trendy, and durable, yet affordable stone-coated roofing tiles. Fair Roof is a luxury that you can afford. They have a variety of colors and designs for you to choose from. The team of professionals will give you value for money and a guaranteed 1 year after sales service. All they require from you is your roof plan. They would work to meet your taste. White Temple Agencies Limited is located on plot number 65 Derby Avenue on the Children's Hospital Road, adjacent NHIS Building Arena, or their sales office branch at Old Weja Barrier, Accra West. You can call 0302 67 3773 0302 67 3773. Royal Lighting, and you can find Royal Lighting at the Bachona off Spintex Road, previously Nick and Siloga Building near the Bachona Total. You go there, you get any sort of light at all that you're looking for. Wall lights, ceiling lights, exquisite and antique chandeliers, brick wall lights, spotlights, recessed lights, in-ground lights, garden lights, gate lights, table lamps, and what have you. Just go to Royal Lighting, Bachona off Springtest Road, previously Nick and Siloga building, near the Bachona Hotel. You can also call 0302 816310. 816310. We've got, let me share these messages before I take this first break. Now, from Bediako in Faraday in Kumasi, he says, since John Mahama is bent on securing the future of his appointees and himself with last-minute appointment, he should as well hold on for a while and appoint the successor of the Chief Justice and the independent prosecutor. Okay, the Chief Justice gets out, I think, sometime in July. I'm sure that he may have relished the opportunity to appoint the next Chief Justice. But again, you know, like Kweku mentioned, I mentioned quite early on that these are constitutional offices secured in the Constitution. You can appoint them and hope that they'll do something for you. But if they don't do it, you can't do them, like they will say, Foko. Kwabena Odro Kwating in Afani says that the president has every authority to carry out his duties within the confines of the law. However, as a lame duck president, he can finish off his term by setting a better precedent by avoiding any questionable and hasty appointments and contracts. It appears such actions only deem to handicap the incoming government. The goodness of Ghana must be top priority rather than self-preservation and pettiness. Sofo Yamoso in Kumbungu says that many Ghanaians, including my good self, are not happy about the president's latest appointments and the unnecessary increase in national service personnel allowances. Okay, you are not a service person, so you say it's unnecessary. I think the president and his team should be concentrating on the handover notes. I am, however, confident that the president-elect has a very competent team to deliver on their promises. Musa Batoy in Kumasi says that what makes me proud as Ghanaian is the fact that President Mahama is the most humble and visionary leader I've ever seen in the history of this country. Thank you. And then from Anyam Achu in Ho West, he says, you didn't mention MMDCEs as among government appointees who are to cease their official duties upon assumption of office by the new administration. I read the law. Let me know if they are not part, because my uncle is a DCE and we are planning to lock him out of the family house since he has not helped any of the family members and has also not put up a house. Oh, okay. You should welcome him back. Since he has not put up a house, you may see that he's one of those who didn't put their hands into the government kitty to steal and do anything. Oliver Bamba, I'm not saying if somebody has put up a house, they had to steal before. People have the means to do it. Oliver Bamba in Salaga says, after 12 months of authoritative news analysis, I wish you a comfortable lead Xmas, cruising to victory holidays, and slightly ahead New Year. Okay, so Crispin Masaudu in where? Bochum. Oh, I almost mentioned it like a local name. Okay, so you're sending from Germany. You say that Newsfile is the most authoritative news analysis show. I usually don't watch the show live, but the show is often uploaded on YouTube afterwards, and that kept me updated throughout the year. Today, I'm back home for Christmas in Tamale and watching the show live. And I want to thank the Newsfile team for their great efforts and consistency in bringing us the best discussions on current issues on a weekly basis. Thank you very much. And on that note, I need to note this, that some of you are imputing some very wrong motives and very bad things to Randy Abbey. I mentioned that he was to be here. Now, some of you are saying because there is Egbert here and there is Kweku here or something, he will not come here.
How?
That's wrong. I mean, these are the best of friends. You should go see them and the way they relate.
Randy is a founding member of the coffee shop now. He still is a member.
Right. I understand that even President Mahama was a member of the coffee shop.
Yes, yes.
Is he accepted back because he may not have
anytime.
His chair is actually cold. He should come and walk.
and Honorable Spielgabra.
Okay.
Spielgabra was there.
Right. I am sure he had a genuine reason for cancelling his appointment, and he cancelled it much earlier on.
Thank you. That's key point.
Much earlier on, and then some other government persons or party NDC party spokespersons were supposed to have been here. They also failed.
But
I mean,
you see,
that's a small point.
You should have mentioned the names because you mentioned Randy. You should have mentioned the other names. Yeah.
Okay. When I return, I'll give you the full list, the full list of all those who declined. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. This is a final edition and is dedicated to you, our cherished viewers and listeners. So send us your comments, your commentary about the year 2016. What made you proud as Ghanaian and what did not? And shortly we are discussing the issue of political polarization of the media and the country at large. What would be the way forward? And here we're talking about people who live this experience, who suffer it silently, or should I say, this particular experience. So MTN is proudly associated with this show. MTN, welcome to the New World. Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. ACAP Compost Fertilizer is a truly natural fertilizer. White Temple Agency, a luxury you can afford, and Royal Lighting, walk in the light. A couple of questions coming in for Kweku, and I'll just read them. We go. Is it a comment or a question? This is from Wisdom Bunsen. He says, interesting, Kweku Bako. The street lawyer, now graduate to become full member of the bar and now debating his own boss, Magas. Wow. Then Malik says, does it matter to Kweku Bako that those decisions by Kufuor were condemned by the NDC, and in fact the media joined in the condemnation? Why are they now complaining when, you know, similar thing is happening? Please ask Kweku Bako, would Mahama have made these appointments at the time that he is making them if he had won the elections? Critical.
One thing, does it matter to him that I was in defense of Kufuor's actions, that I insisted there was nothing unconstitutional or illegal about that? Does it matter to him? Yeah, 2009. I insisted there was nothing wrong with what Kufuor had done.
So consistency,
that he had a mandate.
That's what you're doing.
Yes, so does it matter to him?
But the question again is, then the next leg of the question is, if Mahama was the one who had won elections today,
yes,
would he have been okay with Akufo-Addo appointing, if Akufo-Addo was the president, making these appointments?
He's asking us to interrogate a hypothesis. That's what he's asking us to do.
I think it's a fair question.
No, it's a fair question, but it's a hypothetical situation,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes, Egbert.
It's a fair question, but it is hypothetical.
I'll be
I'm dealing with the reality.
Yes.
This whole thing, all these appointments, you see, I don't want to sound controversial, but let me be very, 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 forthright. I think that these are NDC members. Oh yes,
I bet you can't say that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. No, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being an NDC member.
So then don't bring it in.
There's nothing wrong with being an NDC member.
Then don't bring it in.
But you can't suggest that these are NDC members.
Kwame.
Don't bring it in. I don't think you should inform you.
So assuming without admitting the NDC members. So
can I finish? But let me finish.
So what?
Okay, finish. Yes.
I'm saying that these are NDC members. Now, what is happening is that you have a president-elect who is going to prosecute his agenda and vision for the betterment of the republic. Now, people are worried that won't these persons put spokes in the wheels of the traction and, for that matter, the vision that the incoming government or the president...
How would
That the
do it?
incoming government will be doing something lawful, which is in the interests of Ghanaians, and these people will stand in his way?
Samson,
don't get it.
reduce it to that level. Let me explain. We all know, you were sitting here earlier
Then you
on this
elevate
program.
it,
No,
elevate it.
earlier on this program, making a case for why people should be kept at GIPC, why GPHA. Why were you doing that? You were doing that because you know that it is standard fare that when there's a change, certain appointments and whoever occupies those roles suffer. Not so?
Yes.
Yes. So you concede impliedly and expressly that, well, some of these things is the president who is coming in, who decides. And I'm also sitting here and telling you that people are worried because people know that some of these persons who have been appointed in these roles are of the membership or supporters of the outgoing party, and you want to take me on for saying that.
Unfortunately,
No.
I'm not a discussant.
Yes,
you would have heard
these
my
are
views.
rhetorical questions.
You would have heard my
This
views.
is the voice of a chief vandal.
Yes.
No, these are rhetorical questions.
Okay. Then Dr. Atu Edu in Evans, Georgia, in the USA, says that Ghanaians are still celebrating Nana Akufo-Addo's victory in the United States, and I am part of the celebration. But I also believe that the people who worked with President Mahama did not help him. Political immaturity, outward exhibition of wealth, arrogance, judicial interference, and complacency attributed to NDC's defeat. And this is a change. And this is a change the Ghanaian people deserve. I feel the air of freedom blowing in Ghana, and that can launch a process of hope and development for our people. What made you proud? What did not make you proud in 2016? Share with us here on Newsfile, and we will share with the rest of the world.